Have you ever looked around your room and realized you're living in a warehouse full of stuff you don't need? Maybe you've got a shelf completely jammed with plastic anime figurines that sit there collecting dust. Maybe your closet is overflowing with limited edition sneakers you're too scared to wear outside because you might scuff them. Or maybe you've spent an embarrassing amount of money on digital weapon skins in a video game that won't even have servers in 10 years. Don't worry, I'm not here to judge your financial decisions. You do you. But if we take a step back and look at this situation objectively, it's wild, right? Why are humans completely obsessed with hoarding and collecting totally useless things? In the animal kingdom, creatures only collect stuff that keeps them alive. A squirrel hoards nuts in a tree because it faces a brutal winter. A bird gathers twigs to build a safe nest. No bear has ever gone out of its way to secure a rare, shiny rock just to flex on other bears in the forest. Animals don't do clutter, storage units, or shopping addiction. But humans? We will straight up go into massive credit card debt just to buy pieces of cardboard with Pokemon printed on them, or rare digital pixels. How did our brains get wired this way? Well, it turns out your unstoppable urge to buy random junk you don't need is actually a giant, glorious evolutionary glitch. To understand why your brain treats a rare pair of Jordans like a life or death treasure, we have to look at the survival software our ancestors used to navigate the ancient Stone Age. For 99% of human history, shopping sprees didn't exist, simply because everything was scarce. If you were a bald, vulnerable caveman living in the wild millions of years ago, you didn't have a supermarket or a refrigerator. You couldn't just open an app and order a warm pizza when your stomach started growling. Survival back then was a non-stop game of prehistoric scavenger hunting. This long era was the golden age of the gatherer lifestyle. Your daily routine consisted of walking miles, scanning the ground for anything that could keep you and your tribe alive for another 24 hours. Nuts, berries, sharp flintstones, or dry wood. In this brutal environment, there was one golden rule. The more stuff you had accumulated, the higher your chances of surviving the winter. The caveman who found 3 berries and said, "Yeah, that's enough foraging for today," was the first to starve when a blizzard hit. On the flip side, the paranoid caveman who spent every second piling up stacks of wood, roots, and stones survived. Because of this, evolution hardwired a heavy-duty reward system directly into our biology. Every single time an ancient human found a useful resource and successfully added it to their personal pile, their brain instantly flooded their nervous system with dopamine, the ultimate feel-good chemical. It was Mother Nature's way of saying, "Hey, great job. You hoarded stuff. Now you probably won't die tomorrow." Over hundreds of thousands of years, this intense collecting instinct became so deeply embedded in human nature that we started to view the act of accumulating things as a source of safety and comfort. But here is where the modern glitch happens. Fast forward to today, we successfully escaped the jungle, built massive climate-controlled cities, and invented online shopping. Suddenly, for the first time in history, we live in a world of absolute abundance. Food, tools, gadgets, and clothing are everywhere, piled high on shelves, and we don't have to fight off wolves to get them. But our brains are still completely stuck in the ancient Stone Age. That old-school evolutionary software hasn't received a single update in 50,000 years. Your subconscious doesn't understand that a plastic figurine or a designer handbag isn't a life-saving winter resource that will prevent you from freezing. When you click buy and add a new item to your collection, that primitive caveman brain inside your skull throws a party and thinks, "Heck yeah! Another excellent piece of firewood for the blizzard? We are totally surviving the winter now." Your brain floods you with that exact same ancient dopamine hit, completely oblivious to the fact that the thing you just bought is totally useless for physical survival. We are literally using prehistoric survival instincts to hoard plastic junk. But the psychological rabbit hole goes even deeper, because we don't just collect random things. We are specifically obsessed with collecting things that are incredibly rare, unique, or visually shiny. Why do our modern minds care so much about artificial scarcity? Once again, you can blame your bald ancestors for this mental trap. In the prehistoric world, not all resources were created equal. Finding regular dirt was easy, but finding a rare piece of obsidian stone to craft a deadly hunting spear, that was a total game changer. If you possessed an obsidian spear, you were instantly voted the MVP of the entire tribe. You could hunt much larger game, protect your family from rival groups way better, and you naturally got the best, warmest spot right next to the campfire. Because rare items were so valuable for actual physical survival, they quickly transitioned into becoming the ultimate primitive status symbols. If a prehistoric leader walked into a meeting wearing a heavy necklace made of rare seashells, or the teeth of a saber-toothed tiger, everyone instantly knew exactly what time it was. Their brains immediately went, okay, this individual is a massive deal. He is an elite survivor. Today, we do the exact same thing, just with different, more expensive toys. Nobody buys a rare, luxury mechanical watch because they desperately need to know what time it is. The smartphone in their pocket tells the time way more accurately, and it does it for free. We buy rare, expensive things because our ancient subconscious desperately wants to wave a giant flag to the rest of society that says, look at me, I have exclusive access to scarce resources, which clearly makes me an elite, high-status member of this tribe. The intense adrenaline rush you get when you finally track down that one missing vintage item to complete your collection, that's not a modern emotion at all. That's just your inner caveman jumping up and down, celebrating the fact that he found the rare obsidian stone on the jungle floor before anyone else could grab it. If you think physical collecting in the real world is wild, just look at the absolute madness happening in the digital space right now. In modern video games, players spend billions of real dollars every year buying purely digital cosmetic items, virtual avatar clothing, and pixelated weapon skins. Objectively speaking, if you strip away the hype, these things do not exist in the physical universe. You cannot touch them or hold them in your hand, and they provide absolutely zero actual physical utility. So why does your brain crave them with the exact same intensity as a physical item? It's because our ancient survival software is hilariously easy to trick. Game developers are basically evolutionary hackers who know exactly how the human brain works under the hood. They intentionally create artificial scarcity inside a digital space where resources should technically be infinite. They tag digital items with flashy words like epic or legendary, color-coding them in bright, glowing neon purple or gold to grab your attention. When your virtual character unlocks a super rare, glowing sword that only 1% of the player base possesses, your primitive brain doesn't see a bunch of pixels on a glass screen. No, it genuinely sees a legendary, glowing, incredibly rare hunting tool that instantly elevates your social status within the digital tribe. The chemical dopamine loop is exactly the same as it was 10,000 years ago. We are all out here hoarding invisible digital berries just to make our ancient brains feel safe, successful, and powerful. The next time someone walks into your room, looks at your packed shelves, and asks why you keep wasting your money buying all this totally useless junk, you can tell them that you're not crazy. You're just an evolutionary overachiever. You aren't wasting money on a hobby. You're just satisfying a primitive, hardwired urge that successfully kept your ancestors alive through ice ages, massive famines, and terrifying predator attacks. We are the proud, direct descendants of the ultimate prehistoric hoarders. The picky, minimalistic cavemen who didn't care about collecting extra stuff simply didn't make it when times got tough, and their genes died out long ago. But the ones who were absolutely, completely obsessed with gathering every single cool, rare, and shiny object they could find. They survived the winter, they reproduced, and they passed that exact same hyper-focused, collecting brain straight down to us. Modern civilization might have changed the items from flint tools to expensive sneakers and digital video game skins, but the core game remains exactly the same. We are all just prehistoric gatherers navigating a modern concrete jungle, trying our best to build the biggest, coolest pile of stuff to prove to the world that we've got what it takes to win. Turns out, your seemingly useless collection is actually a beautiful monument to human survival.